Our story begins in 2019, in a quiet, affluent neighborhood just outside Seattle. Amelia, a bright, ambitious woman in her mid-30s, is happily married to Ben, her high school sweetheart. They've been together for almost 15 years, and their love story seems right out of a romance novel. They met in senior year, dated all through college, and married soon after graduation. Amelia works as a project manager at a prestigious marketing firm, where she's known for her attention to detail and drive. She's respected, admired, and sometimes feared for her no-nonsense attitude. She takes her job seriously, often working late into the night to ensure that every deadline is met. Her friends would describe her as fiercely loyal, maybe even to a fault. Ben, on the other hand, is a laid-back, easygoing guy who perfectly balances Amelia's intensity. He works from home as a freelance graphic designer and is adored by everyone who knows him. Kind, thoughtful, and effortlessly charming, Ben is the kind of person who leaves a lasting impression on everyone he meets. While Amelia's career demands structure and deadlines, Ben's flexible schedule lets him focus on hobbies, like cooking and gardening, and he's often the one who keeps their household running smoothly. To outsiders, they look like the ideal couple. Amelia, the hardworking professional, and Ben, the supportive husband. But, as with many seemingly perfect pictures, there are cracks beneath the surface. Amelia's work hours have gradually taken a toll on their marriage. She spends long hours at the office or glued to her phone, even during dinner. Her dedication to her career has begun to overshadow her time with Ben, leaving him feeling more like a roommate than a partner. While he tries to be supportive, Ben often finds himself wishing for the days when they'd stay up late talking about anything and everything. One Friday evening, Amelia is running late again, engrossed in finalizing an important project. Ben prepares dinner, as he often does, hoping that tonight might be one of those rare evenings when they can sit together and reconnect. But when Amelia finally walks in, she's distracted, her mind still stuck on a work issue. She barely notices the effort Ben put into making her favorite dish. After a quick, absent-minded thank you, she heads upstairs to check her emails, leaving Ben alone at the table. This has been happening more frequently, and Ben can feel a growing distance between them. He doesn't want to complain, but each time she chooses work over him, it's like another tiny fracture in their relationship. He loves her deeply but is starting to wonder if she feels the same. Things start to shift when Amelia's office hires a new marketing consultant, a charming, successful man named Alex. Alex is confident, witty, and knows how to command a room. He and Amelia quickly find common ground, both driven by similar ambitions and goals. Working closely together, they spend long hours brainstorming and problem-solving, and soon Amelia feels a spark she hasn't felt in years. It's nothing serious, she tells herself, just professional admiration mixed with a little friendly banter. But as the weeks go on, the friendly exchanges become more frequent. Alex starts texting her outside of work hours, sharing memes, articles, and funny anecdotes. Amelia, who usually guards her personal life, finds herself drawn to these casual, light-hearted interactions. With Alex, she doesn't feel the pressure of deadlines and expectations, just a shared understanding and a growing friendship that makes her smile. At home, though, Ben can sense the change. Amelia is on her phone more than ever, laughing at messages she won't explain and spending even less time with him. Their conversations become brief and functional, focused on household chores or weekend plans, with little room for the intimacy they once shared. When Ben tries to ask about her day, she brushes him off, claiming she's too tired to talk. His patience is wearing thin, and he begins to feel invisible, as if he's no longer part of her world. One evening, Ben decides to surprise Amelia with a weekend getaway, hoping to rekindle their relationship and remind her of the bond they once had. He books a cozy cabin in the mountains and eagerly waits to tell her. But when he finally brings it up, Amelia hesitates. She tells him that she has an upcoming deadline and that leaving work would only add more stress. She tries to reassure him with a quick kiss on the cheek, but the disappointment in Ben's eyes is hard to miss. Amelia doesn't know how to explain that. Lately, the thrill she feels at work is more exciting than the comfort of home. She convinces herself it's just because of the high-stakes projects and her desire to prove herself. But deep down, she knows there's something more, something that makes her linger at work just a little longer each day. Meanwhile, her interactions with Alex become harder to ignore. One night, after wrapping up a long day, Alex suggests they grab a quick drink at a nearby bar to celebrate. Amelia hesitates, thinking of Ben waiting at home, but the pull of Alex's charm is hard to resist. They end up laughing over drinks, sharing stories about college, travel, and their career dreams. Alex listens attentively, making her feel seen and appreciated in a way she hasn't felt in a long time. For the first time in months, she feels like more than just a busy professional or a tired wife. She feels alive. But as Amelia heads home that night, guilt begins to creep in. She tells herself it was just a harmless drink, just two colleagues unwinding after a tough week. Still, as she sneaks quietly into the house, careful not to wake Ben, a pang of unease settles in her stomach. The next morning, Ben finds Amelia in the kitchen, already typing away on her laptop, barely noticing him. He tries to shake off his frustration, telling himself that she's just stressed with work, but the tension lingers. He wants to bring up his feelings, to tell her how lonely he's been, but each time he tries, he backs down, worried it might push her further away. Days turn into weeks, and the distance between them only grows. Amelia continues her late nights and occasional drinks with Alex, convincing herself it's all innocent, that nothing's wrong. But deep down, she knows the line is getting thinner each day. Ben finally reaches a breaking point one night when he sees her smiling at a text, laughing at a joke she won't share. Desperate for answers, he quietly reaches for her phone as she steps out of the room, his hands trembling. And there, in the thread of messages with Alex, he finds the spark that's been pulling her away from him. Ben's hands tremble as he scrolls through the texts between Amelia and Alex. The messages aren't overly flirtatious, but there's a familiarity that feels too close, too personal. They share inside jokes, stories from their past, and hints of plans that Ben was completely unaware of. To him, it's clear that something deeper is developing. For the first time, he sees their relationship's foundation cracking, and a wave of anger and hurt washes over him. Ben places her phone back on the table, his mind racing. He feels betrayed, but he's unsure of how to confront Amelia without driving her even further away. Part of him wants to ignore it, to let things go, hoping she'll come back to him on her own. But another part of him can't ignore the fear that maybe she's already slipping out of his reach. Later that night, he gathers the courage to confront her. He doesn't mention the texts right away, instead choosing to express his feelings about the growing distance between them. He tells her how lonely he feels, how much he misses the connection they once had. Amelia listens, but her response is defensive. She explains that work has been overwhelming and that she's under immense pressure to perform. She downplays the late nights, the drinks with Alex, insisting that it's all just part of the job. But Ben presses on, hinting that he's noticed her texting Alex and that it seems like more than just a casual friendship. Amelia bristles, her tone shifting from defensive to irritated. She accuses him of not trusting her, of trying to control who she can and cannot be friends with. She insists that Alex is nothing more than a coworker, someone who helps her unwind after stressful days. The argument escalates, with both of them saying things they later regret. Ben, feeling cornered and hurt, accuses her of neglecting their marriage and finding fulfillment elsewhere. Amelia, feeling misunderstood and accused, snaps back, saying that she needs someone who understands her ambition and passion for work. Their words cut deep, each one leaving a scar that doesn't fade easily. After that night, the tension between them only grows. They drift further apart, their interactions becoming colder and more distant. Ben tries to reach out, suggesting they go to marriage counseling, but Amelia refuses. She insists there's no problem, that he's overreacting and that things will get better on their own once her workload eases up. But Ben knows better. He can feel the distance widening, and each day that goes by feels like another lost opportunity to mend the rift. As Amelia's connection with Ben deteriorates, her friendship with Alex grows stronger. She starts to look forward to their after-work drinks, finding solace in his easygoing nature and his ability to make her laugh. Alex seems to understand her in ways Ben doesn't, or at least that's how it feels. She tells herself it's harmless, just a friendship that helps her cope with stress. But deep down, she knows there's something more. One evening, after a particularly challenging day, Alex suggests they go to a new jazz club in town. At first, Amelia hesitates, thinking of Ben at home, but Alex's charm and the promise of a fun, relaxing night are hard to resist. She convinces herself that it's no different from any other after-work outing, and soon, they're seated in a cozy booth, listening to the smooth sounds of live jazz. The dim lighting, the music, and the casual intimacy of the setting make it feel more like a date than just a friendly hangout. As the night progresses, their conversation drifts into personal territory. Alex shares stories about his past relationships, his dreams, and the struggles he's faced. Amelia finds herself opening up in ways she hasn't in years. She talks about her frustrations with work, her fears of never living up to her own expectations, and the strain her marriage has been under. Alex listens attentively, offering words of encouragement and understanding. For the first time in a long time, she feels truly seen. By the end of the night, as they're walking to their cars, there's a lingering tension between them. Alex hesitates, and for a moment, Amelia wonders if he's going to kiss her. She feels a mix of excitement and guilt, torn between her loyalty to Ben and the thrill of this new connection. But before anything happens, she pulls away, muttering a quick goodbye and rushing to her car. As she drives home, her mind races with conflicting emotions, struggling to reconcile her feelings for Ben with the undeniable pull she feels toward Alex. When she arrives home, Ben is already asleep, his face illuminated by the glow of his phone screen. She feels a pang of guilt, knowing she's been hiding things from him, but she pushes it aside, telling herself that nothing happened, that it's all just in her head. She climbs into bed beside him, but the distance between them feels more like a canyon now. Over the next few weeks, Ben becomes increasingly suspicious. He notices Amelia's late nights, the texts from Alex, and the way she seems distracted even when she's physically present. He tries to confront her again, but each time, she brushes him off, insisting that he's overreacting. She accuses him of being paranoid, of reading too much into a simple friendship. But Ben can't shake the feeling that he's losing her. In a moment of desperation, he decides to confront Alex directly. He tracks down his office number and calls him, keeping his tone civil but firm. He tells Alex that he's aware of their friendship and that he hopes he respects the boundaries of a married woman. Alex, taken aback, assures Ben that nothing inappropriate is happening, that he values Amelia as a colleague and friend, nothing more. But after the call, Alex begins to pull back, sensing the tension that his presence has brought into her marriage. Amelia, unaware of Ben's call, starts to feel Alex's distance. Their once frequent texts become sparse, and their after-work outings come to an abrupt halt. She's confused and hurt, feeling as though something important has been taken away from her. She confronts Alex, asking if something's wrong, but he dodges the question, insisting that he's just been busy with work. This sudden shift only intensifies Amelia's frustration with Ben. She feels as though he's taken away the one source of happiness she had outside of work, leaving her trapped in a marriage that feels increasingly suffocating. Their arguments become more frequent, more intense, with each one driving a deeper wedge between them. One night, during another heated argument, Ben finally admits that he called Alex, hoping it would protect their marriage. Amelia is furious, feeling betrayed by his lack of trust. She accuses him of being controlling, of trying to sabotage her friendships out of jealousy. Ben, hurt and exhausted, tells her that he's done everything he can to save their marriage, but it feels like she's already made her choice. In the aftermath of the argument, they fall into a strained silence, each one retreating further into their own world. Ben buries himself in his work, trying to find solace in the things he can control. Amelia, feeling isolated and misunderstood, finds herself missing Alex even more. She tries to reconnect with him, sending him texts and emails, but his responses are polite and distant, a painful reminder of the friendship she's lost. As the days go by, Amelia starts to feel the weight of her decisions. She realizes that she's pushed away the one person who's been there for her all these years. She sees the toll it's taken on Ben, the way he's become a shadow of the man he once was, and for the first time, she starts to question whether the thrill of her new friendship was worth the damage it's caused. Despite her regrets, the distance between them feels insurmountable. They share the same house, the same bed, but it's as though they're living in completely separate worlds, each one too afraid to reach out to the other. As their relationship reaches its breaking point, both of them are left wondering if there's any way back from this, or if the love they once shared is truly lost forever. And that's where things start to get even more complicated. If you're as invested in this story as I am, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss the next part. You'll definitely want to see where this story goes next. Ben and Amelia's relationship is teetering on the edge, each moment heavier with tension than the last. They're existing more like strangers in the same house than husband and wife. Every interaction is loaded, with words unsaid and emotions repressed. Ben feels he's done everything he can to bridge the growing chasm, but each effort seems to push Amelia further away. And Amelia, consumed by regret, is struggling to let go of what she lost with Alex and to reconnect with Ben, though she isn't sure she can find her way back. One night, Ben decides it's time to lay everything on the line. He knows he can't go on like this, pretending they're okay when every second together feels like a fight for survival. So he asks Amelia to sit down and talk, really talk, with no defensiveness, no avoiding the truth. He tells her that he misses her, the version of her he fell in love with, the Amelia who would stay up late with him, dreaming about their future, the Amelia who used to make him feel like he was her entire world. Amelia listens, her face a mixture of guilt and sadness. She admits that she's lost herself in her work and that maybe she's been running from the reality of their marriage, fearing it's not what she thought it would be. She opens up about her loneliness, her struggle to balance work and life, and the deep sadness she feels about how they've drifted apart. It's a raw, vulnerable moment, but instead of bringing them closer, it only seems to confirm the doubts Ben has had all along. They're on two separate paths, each one struggling with their own sense of loss and disappointment. Desperate for a solution, Ben suggests they take some time apart, hoping the space might allow them to reset and rediscover what they mean to each other. But Amelia is hesitant, knowing that time apart might be the final nail in their marriage's coffin. She agrees reluctantly, feeling as though she's watching the life she built unravel right before her eyes. The next day, Ben packs a bag and heads to stay with a friend, leaving Amelia alone in their home for the first time in years. The silence is deafening, and she finds herself wandering through the house, memories flooding back with each empty room. She starts to wonder if she's made a huge mistake, if maybe she's been so focused on her own desires that she's lost sight of what really matters. As days turn into weeks, Amelia begins to reflect deeply on her choices. She realizes that her connection with Alex was a temporary escape, a thrill that distracted her from the real issues in her marriage. She starts to miss Ben in ways she never expected, longing for his presence, his support, and the quiet moments they used to share. She reaches out to him, hoping they can meet and talk, but Ben's response is cold, distant. He's hurt, and he's not ready to come back so easily. Then, one evening, Amelia receives a call from Alex. He tells her he's in town for a conference and asks if she'd like to catch up over dinner. She hesitates, knowing this might be her chance to gain some closure on the part of her life that caused so much damage. Against her better judgment, she agrees, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation as she prepares to see him again. The dinner is awkward at first, both of them tiptoeing around the elephant in the room. But as the evening progresses, Amelia finds herself opening up about everything that's happened since they last spoke. She tells Alex about the strain in her marriage, the time apart, and the realization that she's lost something precious in her pursuit of a fleeting thrill. Alex listens, but his response is detached, almost clinical. He admits that he enjoyed their time together, but he's moved on, and his life has taken him in a different direction. For him, their connection was nothing more than a brief, enjoyable escape, a stark contrast to the significance Amelia had placed on it. Amelia leaves the dinner feeling empty, as though a weight she'd been carrying has finally been lifted. She realizes that what she felt for Alex was never love. It was an illusion, a distraction from the real issues in her life. She starts to see clearly how her choices have hurt Ben, and for the first time, she's genuinely committed to making things right. The next morning, she reaches out to Ben, asking if they can meet. This time, he agrees, and they sit across from each other in a quiet cafe, both of them unsure of what to say. Amelia apologizes sincerely, admitting that she lost sight of what truly mattered and let her ambition cloud her judgment. She tells Ben that she's willing to do whatever it takes to rebuild their relationship, even if it means stepping back from her career. Ben listens, his face a mixture of hurt and hope. He tells her that he loves her, but he's unsure if he can fully trust her again. The pain of the past few months has left a deep scar, and he's afraid that forgiving her might leave him vulnerable to more heartache. They sit in silence for a while, each one grappling with the weight of their choices, the love they still feel, and the uncertainty of what the future holds. In the weeks that follow, they begin the slow, painful process of rebuilding. Amelia starts coming home earlier, making time for Ben and prioritizing their relationship over her work. They go to counseling, opening up about their fears, regrets, and hopes for the future. It's not an easy journey, and there are days when the wounds feel too fresh, too raw to heal. But slowly, they start to find their way back to each other. One evening, as they're sitting on the porch, watching the sunset, Ben takes Amelia's hand and tells her that he's willing to try again. He knows it won't be easy, but he's ready to give their marriage another chance. Amelia's eyes fill with tears, and she squeezes his hand, grateful for the second chance she's been given. Their journey is far from over, but they're committed to walking it together, one step at a time. Through the pain and the heartbreak, they've rediscovered the love they once shared, and they're determined to build a future that's stronger, more resilient than ever before. Amelia and Ben's journey toward rebuilding their relationship starts off cautiously, with both of them stepping carefully around old wounds. It's an emotional roller coaster. Some days are full of optimism, while others are shadowed by doubt. Ben is still grappling with the hurt of Amelia's betrayal, and though she's doing everything she can to show her commitment, he finds it hard to let his guard down completely. It's as if they're walking on thin ice, with every word and gesture carrying the weight of the past. Amelia throws herself into the process of rebuilding, scaling back her work hours and dedicating more time to Ben. She's learning to balance her ambition with her marriage, focusing on being present at home. She cooks dinner, plans date nights, and spends time listening to Ben, showing him that she values their relationship above everything else. She's determined to prove that she's changed, that the connection she briefly felt with Alex was nothing compared to what she has with Ben. But for Ben, moving on isn't as simple. Despite Amelia's efforts, he's haunted by images of her laughing with someone else, sharing moments that should have been theirs alone. He finds himself growing distant on certain days, unable to hide the hurt he still feels. He knows Amelia is trying, and part of him wants to embrace this new beginning, but he can't ignore the lingering doubt. Then, a pivotal moment arrives that shakes everything they've been working toward. One evening, as they're sorting through some old boxes in the attic, Ben stumbles upon a keepsake from the early days of their relationship, a handwritten letter Amelia had given him on their first wedding anniversary. The letter is filled with promises of love, loyalty, and dreams for the future, all the things he once believed were unbreakable. Reading those words, Ben's emotions come flooding back, and he realizes just how much he's lost. Unable to hold back, Ben confronts Amelia, holding up the letter and asking her how she could betray everything they once shared. Amelia, caught off guard, struggles to find the right words. She tries to explain that she was lost, overwhelmed by her own ambition and the pressures she placed on herself. She insists that her feelings for Alex were fleeting, nothing more than a distraction, but Ben isn't convinced. He demands to know why she couldn't turn to him, why she felt the need to seek comfort elsewhere. Their argument reaches a fever pitch, with both of them voicing fears and insecurities that have been festering for months. Amelia's voice trembles as she admits that she was afraid, afraid of failing in her career, of not living up to her own expectations, and of losing herself in the process. She tells Ben that she's realized how much she's taken him for granted, and that she's truly sorry. But Ben, hurt and angry, wonders aloud if sorry is enough to erase the damage that's been done. The confrontation leaves them both shaken, with each of them retreating to different parts of the house to cool down. That night, they sleep in separate rooms, the silence between them louder than any argument they've had. Amelia lies awake, feeling as though she's on the brink of losing everything she's fought to rebuild. She realizes that, despite all her efforts, the trust between them is still fragile, and she's terrified that she might never be able to repair it. Meanwhile, Ben is left questioning whether he can truly move past the betrayal. He loves Amelia, but he's starting to wonder if love alone is enough. He knows that forgiving her means opening himself up to the possibility of getting hurt again, and he's not sure he has the strength to do that. The next day, they barely speak, each of them lost in their own thoughts. It's clear that something has to change, that they can't keep living with this unresolved tension. Amelia decides to take a bold step, one that she hopes will show Ben just how committed she is to saving their marriage. She reaches out to their marriage counselor and schedules an emergency session, hoping that a neutral third party can help them navigate their feelings. In the counselor's office, the atmosphere is tense. Ben sits with his arms crossed, his expression guarded, while Amelia fidgets nervously. The counselor encourages them to speak openly, to share their thoughts without fear of judgment. Amelia goes first, admitting that she feels like she's standing on the edge of a cliff, unsure of whether she'll fall or find solid ground. She tells Ben that she's willing to do whatever it takes to earn back his trust, that she's even considered stepping away from her career if that's what it takes to make things right. Ben listens, but his face reveals the internal struggle he's facing. When it's his turn to speak, he opens up about the pain he still feels, the betrayal that haunts him every time he looks at her. He tells her that he wants to believe in their future, but he's afraid of getting hurt again. He doesn't want to be the one who gives everything, only to have his heart broken once more. The counselor suggests that they take things one day at a time, to focus on rebuilding trust through small, consistent actions. She encourages them to be patient, reminding them that healing isn't an overnight process, and that true forgiveness requires time and effort from both sides. As they leave the session, there's a quiet understanding between them. They know that this journey will be difficult, that there will be days when the weight of their past feels overwhelming. But for the first time, they're both committed to facing it head-on, to putting in the work necessary to heal. In the days that follow, they start to build new routines, creating moments of connection that bring them closer together. They take evening walks, talk about their hopes for the future, and even start a small home improvement project together, something they used to enjoy in the early days of their marriage. Slowly, the walls between them begin to come down, and they start to find glimpses of the love they once shared. But even as they move forward, the memories of their past mistakes linger, a constant reminder of how fragile their relationship is. They're both learning to live with the scars, to embrace the pain as a part of their story. And while the road ahead is still uncertain, they're finally walking it together, side by side, with a renewed sense of hope and commitment. As Ben and Amelia continue to work through the fragile state of their marriage, a sense of hope begins to reemerge. Yet, beneath that hope, there's still an undercurrent of fear of another betrayal, of repeating the same mistakes. They're both tiptoeing around their insecurities, each one terrified of breaking the fragile truce they've managed to build. One evening, as they're preparing dinner together, Amelia receives a call. She glances at the screen and sees that it's from her office. She knows that answering could reignite old tensions with Ben, but ignoring the call might jeopardize a major project she's working on. After hesitating, she decides to let it go to voicemail, silently hoping that her small act of putting him first will help rebuild his trust. Ben notices the call, and although he says nothing, there's a visible relaxation in his shoulders. It's a small moment, but one that feels monumental to both of them. As the days go by, they begin to settle into a new rhythm, finding comfort in these shared acts of commitment and trust. But even as they try to move forward, they know they're still balancing on a thin line, one that could snap at any moment. They're both aware that one wrong move could send them back to where they started, if not worse. Then, just as they're beginning to feel secure, a new challenge emerges that puts everything they've worked toward at risk. Amelia's firm is preparing for an upcoming merger, and she's offered a major role in the project, a position she's dreamed about since she started her career. It's the kind of opportunity that could solidify her professional reputation for years to come. But with this opportunity comes intense demands, late nights, travel, and the kind of work-life balance issues that nearly tore their marriage apart in the first place. Amelia is torn. She's finally starting to rebuild her relationship with Ben, and the last thing she wants is to jeopardize it by throwing herself back into the same patterns that nearly destroyed them. But she's worked so hard to reach this point in her career, and part of her feels she owes it to herself to see it through. Ben, sensing her hesitation, tells her that he'll support her no matter what, but she can see the doubt in his eyes. As Amelia wrestles with her decision, she begins to feel the weight of her past mistakes pressing down on her. She knows that pursuing this opportunity might mean repeating the same actions that led her astray before, yet she feels a powerful urge to prove herself, not just to her company, but to herself as well. After days of reflection, she decides to accept the role, promising Ben that this time will be different, that she'll make their relationship a priority no matter what. But the promises prove harder to keep than she anticipated. The demands of the merger are all-consuming, and soon she finds herself slipping back into old habits. Late nights at the office become routine, and her once frequent texts to Ben dwindle as she becomes buried under work obligations. Ben, watching her fall into familiar patterns, feels his worst fears coming true. He tries to remain patient, reminding himself that she's working hard for their future. But each day that she comes home late is a painful reminder of the distance that nearly broke them. One night, after another long day, Amelia arrives home to find Ben waiting for her. He's calm but visibly upset, and she knows that this is the conversation she's been avoiding. He tells her how he feels, how the late nights and the constant work are making him question whether she's truly committed to their relationship. He tells her that he's scared of going through the same heartbreak all over again. Amelia listens, her heart sinking. She realizes that, despite all her promises, she's fallen into the same traps, letting her ambition take precedence over her marriage once more. She apologizes, assuring him that her feelings for him haven't changed, but Ben isn't convinced. He tells her that he needs to see her actions, not just hear her words, and that he can't go through this alone. The next morning, Amelia decides to take drastic action to prove her commitment. She schedules a meeting with her boss and explains that she needs to scale back her involvement in the merger. She knows this could cost her the position she's been working toward, but she's willing to take that risk if it means saving her marriage. Her boss, surprised but understanding, agrees to reassign some of her responsibilities, allowing her to keep a reduced role without the added pressure. For the first time, Amelia feels a sense of peace, knowing she's made a choice that aligns with her priorities. When she tells Ben about her decision, he's visibly relieved. He thanks her, telling her that he knows it wasn't an easy choice to make, and for the first time in months, they share a moment of true understanding. It's a breakthrough, a sign that maybe, just maybe, they can overcome the shadows of the past. However, just as they're finding their footing, an unexpected twist throws them back into turmoil. Amelia receives a call from Alex. He's been hired as a consultant for her firm's merger project, and he'll be working directly with her team for the next few months. She's stunned, knowing that his presence could jeopardize everything she and Ben have fought so hard to rebuild. She considers quitting the project altogether, but she realizes that doing so could sabotage her career permanently. She decides to be honest with Ben, telling him about Alex's involvement and assuring him that her feelings for Alex are long gone. Ben is furious. He tells Amelia that it feels like the universe is testing them, throwing every possible obstacle in their way. He admits that he doesn't know if he can handle seeing her work alongside the man who nearly destroyed their marriage, but Amelia promises him that she'll set clear boundaries, keeping her interactions with Alex strictly professional. As the days go by, Amelia remains vigilant, keeping her distance from Alex and avoiding any personal conversations. But the tension between her and Ben only intensifies. Ben grows increasingly anxious, questioning every late night, every message she receives, and every work event she attends. Their trust, already fragile, begins to crumble under the weight of doubt. Then, one evening, Ben decides he can't take it anymore. He confronts Amelia, telling her that he's reached his breaking point, that he can't go on living with the constant fear and uncertainty. He tells her that he loves her, but he's not sure if love is enough to sustain them through all of this. Amelia, heartbroken, begs him to stay, promising once again that her commitment is genuine. But Ben tells her that he needs space, that he can't continue living in a relationship filled with doubt and fear. He packs a bag and leaves, leaving Amelia alone in their home, facing the reality of what her choices have cost her. She spends the night replaying every moment, every decision that led them here, feeling the weight of regret pressing down on her. She realizes that she's at a crossroads, that she can either fight to win him back or let go, allowing him the freedom he needs to heal. In a final act of resolve, Amelia decides to step away from the merger project entirely. She sends in her resignation the next morning, knowing that her career will survive, but her marriage might not if she continues down this path. She reaches out to Ben, asking him to meet, hoping that this gesture will show him just how much she's willing to sacrifice for their future. They meet at their favorite coffee shop, the place where they had their first date, where their journey together began. Amelia apologizes, not just for the recent events, but for everything she put him through. She tells him about her resignation, explaining that she's choosing him over everything else. She knows it may not be enough, but it's all she has left to give. Ben listens, his expression softening. He tells her that he's been hurt, that he's unsure if he can trust her fully, but he's willing to try if she's truly committed. They sit in silence for a while, each of them processing the gravity of the moment, the enormity of the sacrifices they've both made. And in that quiet moment, a spark of hope begins to flicker between them. It's fragile, tentative, but it's enough to keep them moving forward, one step at a time, toward a future that's still uncertain, but filled with the possibility of redemption and renewal. After their emotional conversation at the coffee shop, Ben and Amelia decide to give their marriage one final, all-or-nothing shot. They're both exhausted, emotionally drained from the roller coaster they've been on, but they're not ready to let go just yet. For the first time, they're approaching this as true partners, each willing to do the work, each one hopeful but cautious. They agree to attend a weekend retreat recommended by their counselor, a place for couples looking to heal and reconnect in an environment away from the daily stresses of life. It's a secluded, quiet retreat center nestled in the mountains, where they'll have no phones, no distractions, just each other and the time to face what's really been driving them apart. As they arrive, there's a heavy sense of anticipation, but also a quiet determination. This retreat is their last shot, a make-or-break moment for their marriage. They're both nervous, unsure of what might surface, but they're committed to seeing it through. The first evening is spent in silence, with each of them sitting alone in reflection. For Ben, it's a moment to confront the fears he's held onto for so long. The fear of betrayal, the fear of being hurt again. For Amelia, it's a chance to face the regret and guilt she's buried deep inside, to acknowledge the impact her choices have had on the man she loves. On the second day, they're asked to participate in a series of exercises designed to rebuild trust and understanding. One exercise involves them sitting across from each other, looking directly into each other's eyes, and sharing the things they've been too afraid to say. At first, the silence between them feels suffocating, but as they begin to open up, they find a raw, honest connection that they haven't felt in years. Ben is the first to speak, his voice trembling with emotion. He tells Amelia that he's been holding onto resentment, that every time he looks at her, he's reminded of the hurt she caused. He admits that he's scared to open his heart fully, scared that trusting her might lead to more pain. But he also tells her that he's willing to let go of the past if she's truly committed to their future. Amelia listens, tears streaming down her face. She tells him that she spent months carrying the weight of her mistakes, that she's been haunted by the guilt of knowing how deeply she's hurt him. She tells Ben that she's finally learned to value what really matters, that her love for him is stronger than her ambition, stronger than any fleeting thrill or momentary connection. She apologizes again, from the depths of her heart, and promises that she'll spend every day showing him that he can trust her again. The intensity of their confessions brings them both to tears, and in that vulnerable moment, they find a renewed sense of connection. It's as if they're finally seeing each other clearly, without the weight of past mistakes clouding their vision. They reach across the space between them, holding each other's hands, and for the first time they feel a glimmer of hope, a sense that maybe, just maybe, they can come back from this. As the retreat continues, they're encouraged to share moments of joy and laughter, to reconnect through small acts of kindness and affection. They go on long walks, exploring the scenic trails around the retreat, and they find themselves reminiscing about the early days of their relationship, back when everything felt simple and pure. These moments bring them closer, reminding them of the love they once shared, and giving them a glimpse of the future they could still have together. On the final evening, they're asked to participate in a symbolic ritual, where each couple writes down the fears, regrets, and doubts they want to let go of. They then place these notes in a fire, watching as the flames consume the words that have weighed them down for so long. Ben and Amelia sit side by side, watching the fire, feeling a sense of release as the past burns away, leaving behind only ashes. Returning home, they both feel a renewed sense of purpose, a quiet determination to keep their marriage strong. They know it won't be easy, that there will still be days of doubt and moments of fear, but they're ready to face them together, as partners and as friends. They've finally found a way to let go of the past, to forgive each other, and to build a future that's rooted in trust and understanding. A few weeks after the retreat, they celebrate their wedding anniversary, marking the occasion with a quiet dinner at home. As they sit together, sharing stories and laughter, there's a sense of peace between them, a feeling that they've finally found their way back to each other. It's not perfect, and they both know it never will be, but it's real and it's enough. In the days that follow, Amelia continues to prioritize her relationship with Ben, balancing her work with the commitment she's made to him. Ben, too, finds himself more at ease, more willing to trust, knowing that Amelia is truly dedicated to making their marriage work. Their journey has been a difficult one, filled with pain, doubt, and moments of despair. But through it all, they've found a way to heal, to forgive, and to rediscover the love that brought them together in the first place. And as they look toward the future, they know that, no matter what challenges may come, they'll face them together, stronger, wiser, and more deeply connected than ever before. And that's the story of Amelia and Ben, a couple who went through heartbreak and betrayal, only to come out on the other side with a renewed sense of love and commitment. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more recaps like this one. And let me know in the comments, do you think you could forgive someone after a betrayal like this? See you in the next story. Just when it seems like Ben and Amelia are finally on solid ground, an unexpected twist sends their journey into a final test of endurance and trust. The stakes rise suddenly one afternoon when Amelia gets a call from her old company. It turns out that a major client from her past has specifically requested her expertise for an urgent project. This client is high profile, a career-defining opportunity for anyone, and they want Amelia to lead it. It's an offer that promises prestige, career advancement, and the kind of recognition she once dreamed about. But there's a catch. It would require her to travel frequently and work side by side with Alex, her former colleague and the man who almost tore her marriage apart. Amelia is stunned, torn between the old dreams of career success that still hold a piece of her heart and the commitment she's made to rebuild her marriage with Ben. She realizes the high stakes of her decision, knowing that if she accepts, it might jeopardize everything she and Ben have fought so hard to repair. But walking away from an opportunity like this would mean stepping back from the career she spent her life building. When she shares the news with Ben, his initial reaction is one of disbelief. They've come so far, he can't believe she'd even consider working alongside Alex again, especially after everything they've been through. But as he listens to Amelia's side, he sees her struggle, torn between the woman she was and the new path she's trying to carve out. She insists that it would be strictly professional, that she'd be transparent with him every step of the way, and that her ultimate loyalty lies with him, not her job. For Ben, it's an agonizing moment. He doesn't want to hold her back, doesn't want to be the reason she resents giving up a dream. But at the same time, he can't help but feel threatened by the idea of her working so closely with Alex, the man who once came so close to destroying their marriage. He knows this decision could break them once and for all, yet he can see in Amelia's eyes just how much this opportunity means to her. After a tense, sleepless night, they come to a compromise. Amelia will take the project, but with clear boundaries. They set up a system of regular check-ins, and she promises full transparency about every meeting, every trip. Ben agrees reluctantly, his trust in her still fragile, but growing stronger with every step they take together. As the project kicks off, Amelia throws herself into her work with renewed energy, determined to prove that she can balance her career ambitions with her commitment to Ben. She keeps her promises, updating Ben on her schedule, telling him about each interaction with Alex, even the briefest of exchanges. The openness helps, and for a while it seems like they've found a delicate balance. But as the weeks go by, the pressure mounts. The project demands more and more of Amelia's time, and she finds herself working late nights and traveling more often than she anticipated. Ben tries to stay calm, reminding himself that they agreed to this, but the old insecurities begin to creep back. Each late-night call and rescheduled dinner digs at him, bringing back painful memories of the distance that once threatened to consume their relationship. One evening, Amelia is out of town for a client meeting that runs late. She calls Ben to let him know, apologizing for missing their planned video chat. Ben can hear the exhaustion in her voice, but he can't shake the nagging doubt, the worry that history might be repeating itself. Alone in their quiet house, he finds himself slipping into old habits, imagining worst-case scenarios, replaying the painful memories of the past. Unable to resist, Ben sends Amelia a text, asking if Alex was at the meeting. When she replies that he was, Ben feels a familiar pang of jealousy, a reminder of the scars he thought had healed. He knows he's being irrational, that Amelia's done nothing to break his trust, but the fear is overwhelming, clawing at his heart. Amelia returns home the next day, sensing Ben's unease immediately. They sit down for a heart-to-heart, with Ben finally admitting how difficult it's been for him to see her pulled back into a high-stakes project with Alex. Amelia listens, holding his hand, understanding the pain he's feeling. She reassures him that her commitment to him hasn't wavered, that Alex means nothing to her beyond a professional relationship. She promises that if at any point he feels uncomfortable, she'll step back from the project. This moment of vulnerability brings them closer, reminding them of the importance of honesty and transparency. They realize that while they've come a long way, their journey is ongoing, and there will always be challenges that test their trust. But they also know that each time they face these challenges, they grow stronger, learning to support each other in ways they never thought possible. In the final weeks of the project, Amelia makes an extra effort to prioritize her time with Ben, creating moments of connection and intimacy despite the busy schedule. She sets clear boundaries with Alex, limiting their interactions to strictly business, and focuses on her work with a renewed sense of purpose. She's determined to prove to herself, and to Ben, that she's capable of balancing her career with her personal life. As the project concludes, Amelia receives praise from her client and her company, marking a significant achievement in her career. But what she's most proud of isn't the accolades. It's the fact that she managed to navigate the most challenging test of her relationship with Ben, emerging stronger and more committed than ever. On the night of the project's successful completion, she and Ben celebrate with a quiet dinner at home, toasting to the journey they've been on. They both know that this isn't the end of their challenges, but it's a powerful reminder that they're capable of facing whatever comes their way. As they sit together, sharing stories and laughter, they feel a profound sense of peace, a feeling that, despite everything, they've finally reached a place of mutual trust and understanding. Their journey has been one of heartbreak, healing, and growth, and while it's been far from easy, it's brought them closer than they ever imagined. In the days that follow, they continue to build on this foundation, creating new memories, sharing new dreams, and embracing the life they're building together. They know that there will be more storms, more moments of doubt, but they're confident in their ability to weather them, hand in hand, as partners and as friends. This is the story of Ben and Amelia, a journey of love, forgiveness, and resilience. A reminder that true commitment is tested not in moments of peace, but in the face of life's greatest challenges. And for them, the story isn't over. It's only just beginning. And there we have it. The journey of two people fighting for their love against the odds, overcoming heartbreak to find a deeper, stronger connection. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more heartwarming recaps like this. And let us know, do you believe that love can truly conquer all? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story. With the stakes higher than ever, Amelia and Ben are hanging on by a thread. The trust they've worked so hard to rebuild is strained to the limit as Amelia's project with Alex comes to a close. Though she's done her best to keep Ben in the loop and reassure him, the long hours and lingering insecurities have left both of them emotionally frayed. One evening, as Amelia is finalizing some last-minute project details, she gets a message from Alex inviting her to join a small team celebration. It's a harmless enough invitation, and Amelia hesitates, thinking about how Ben might feel. She decides to go, figuring it's a professional obligation and telling herself it won't be anything beyond a quick drink. But as Amelia is at the bar with Alex and a few coworkers, Ben tries to call her. She doesn't notice her phone buzzing, and Ben's call goes straight to voicemail. Hours pass, and he hears nothing from her. Alone in their house, his mind races with worst-case scenarios, memories of her past indiscretions coming back to haunt him. He sits, staring at the clock, each minute intensifying his fear that he's being let down once again. Eventually, Amelia gets home late, stepping quietly through the door, thinking Ben is already asleep. But he's awake, waiting for her. His face is tense, his emotions bubbling over as he tries to keep calm. He asks where she's been, his voice betraying his frustration and fear. Amelia tries to explain, but her words feel inadequate. She insists it was just a work outing, that there was nothing to worry about, but Ben is visibly shaken, his trust shaken once again. "Why didn't you call or text?" he asks, his voice barely above a whisper. "We promised we'd keep each other in the loop." Amelia realizes how her actions look from his perspective, and she can see the hurt in his eyes. She apologizes, saying she hadn't realized how long she'd been gone, but Ben isn't fully convinced. The hurt has been reopened, and their fragile trust has taken a heavy hit. For days afterward, their communication is strained. They go about their daily routines, but the warmth and closeness they'd started to rebuild seem to have vanished. Both of them are trapped in their own thoughts, each feeling like they're on the brink of losing everything they've fought for. Then, a pivotal moment arrives. Amelia is scheduled to attend a final presentation with her team, a culmination of the project she's been working on. The meeting is in another city, requiring an overnight stay, and Ben's anxiety spikes. He doesn't want to seem controlling, but he can't shake the fear that history might repeat itself. Amelia sees his distress and, after a long, tense conversation, suggests that he come along. She assures him it's purely professional, and that his presence might ease his mind. Though hesitant, Ben agrees, and together they travel to the meeting. He watches her work, sees the passion she brings to her job, and begins to understand the pressures she's under. For the first time, he witnesses the Amelia her coworkers know, the dedicated, ambitious woman who thrives in high-stakes environments. It's an eye-opening experience for Ben, who realizes he's been viewing her work through the lens of his own insecurities. Seeing her in her element reminds him of the woman he fell in love with, and his admiration for her rekindles. After the presentation, Amelia and Ben sit down for a quiet dinner, away from the colleagues and the work conversations. They talk openly, sharing their fears, dreams, and regrets. Amelia acknowledges the toll her career ambitions have taken on their relationship and promises that, moving forward, she'll make more time for them. Ben, in turn, admits that his insecurities and fears of abandonment have colored his perception of her work, making him suspicious even when he had no reason to be. Their conversation is a turning point, one that brings a sense of clarity and relief. They realize that while their love is strong, it needs constant nurturing and open communication to survive the pressures of life. They agree to be each other's anchor, to face their challenges together rather than allowing them to drive a wedge between them. The next morning, as they head back home, both of them feel a renewed sense of hope. The final turning point in Ben and Amelia's journey comes when the stakes in their relationship reach an all-time high. They've navigated so many tests already, but just as they begin to feel a sense of security, life throws them another curveball, one that threatens to undo all the progress they've made. One evening, Amelia receives a message from Alex. It's unexpected, and for a moment, she debates whether to open it at all. But curiosity wins, and as she reads the text, her stomach drops. Alex writes that he has deep feelings for her and regrets how things ended. He confesses that working together again rekindled emotions he thought he'd let go of, and asks her to meet him one last time, away from work, to discuss his feelings. Amelia feels a rush of panic, her mind racing. She thought her connection with Alex was firmly in the past, resolved and forgotten. But his message drags old emotions to the surface, and she realizes this moment could be the final test of her loyalty to Ben and their relationship. Amelia decides she needs to tell Ben immediately. This time, there's no hiding, no delay in transparency. She shows him Alex's message, her hands trembling as she hands over her phone. Ben's reaction is immediate. His face shifts from surprise to hurt, and then to anger. He feels blindsided, as though the betrayal he'd feared all along has finally reared its head. But what pains him most is that despite everything they've been through, despite all her promises, this piece of the past has still come back to haunt them. Ben tries to keep his emotions in check, but the pain is too raw. He asks Amelia if she feels anything for Alex, if she still has lingering feelings. Amelia is firm, telling him she's committed to their marriage and that her feelings for Alex are gone. But Ben can't help but wonder if there's more she's not telling him, if maybe she's downplaying her emotions out of guilt or confusion. The tension between them is palpable. Ben suggests that maybe they should take a break, that perhaps some space might help him process his emotions and come to terms with the situation. Amelia, feeling her heart sink, knows she has to respect his wishes, but the thought of losing him terrifies her. She insists that meeting Alex would only make things worse and that her only priority is repairing the hurt caused by Alex's message, not reopening any doors from the past. However, Ben's mind is already spiraling. He tells Amelia he needs time to himself to think, to understand what he truly wants and whether he can handle the constant reminders of her past connection with Alex. The weight of mistrust and doubt has resurfaced, undoing months of hard work in an instant. The next day, Ben leaves to stay with a friend, giving himself the distance he feels he needs. He spends days in quiet reflection, trying to make sense of his emotions. He wrestles with his love for Amelia, with his desire to trust her fully, and with the pain that still lingers in his heart. He realizes that his own insecurities and fears have played a role in how he's handled their relationship, but he's also not sure if he can continue to be haunted by the past. Meanwhile, Amelia is devastated. She throws herself into soul-searching, examining every choice that led her to this point, every misstep that might have added to Ben's pain. She knows that losing Ben would be unbearable, that he's the love of her life, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to win back his trust. But with each day that passes, the silence between them grows heavier, and she begins to fear that Ben may never return. A week passes and finally, Ben reaches out, asking to meet at a quiet cafe, away from the pressures and reminders of home. They sit across from each other, the tension thick, each one carrying the weight of their own regrets and fears. Ben tells Amelia that he spent the last week grappling with the idea of forgiveness, of letting go of the past completely, but he's come to realize that it's not about erasing the pain, it's about choosing to move forward despite it. He tells her that he loves her, that he's willing to give them one final chance, but only if they can both commit to creating a relationship built on complete honesty, no matter how difficult it might be. Amelia agrees, her voice filled with emotion, as she promises to never let the past interfere with their future again. She reassures him that her love for him is unwavering, that she's ready to put in the work to rebuild their relationship from the ground up. In a symbolic gesture, they both agree to delete any remaining messages, photos, or memories that connect them to the painful moments of their past, wiping the slate clean. It's a small but significant step, a declaration that they're both committed to building a future unburdened by old wounds. In the days that follow, they start to rebuild with renewed dedication. Amelia steps away from her demanding projects, setting clear boundaries to ensure that her time and energy are focused on Ben. She prioritizes their relationship, scheduling regular date nights, taking trips together, and rediscovering the joys of being a couple. Ben, too, works to release his insecurities, trusting Amelia's actions as they gradually restore his confidence. Their journey reaches a climactic moment during a weekend getaway. They decide to visit the beach, a place they'd always loved early in their relationship. Under the setting sun, they walk along the shoreline, hand in hand, letting the waves wash over their feet. It's a simple moment, but it's filled with a profound sense of peace and closure. Ben turns to Amelia and tells her that he's finally ready to let go of the past, that he's ready to embrace the life they're building together. With the ocean stretching out before them, they make a renewed vow to each other, a promise to love and respect one another, to cherish the relationship they've worked so hard to save. The weight of the past lifts, replaced by a newfound sense of trust and understanding. It's a powerful, cathartic moment, one that symbolizes the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Returning home, Ben and Amelia feel a lightness that's been missing for so long. They know that the road ahead won't always be easy, but they're finally equipped to handle it, armed with a stronger, more resilient bond. They're no longer haunted by doubts or fears. Instead, they're filled with a quiet confidence, a shared belief that their love is worth every struggle, every sacrifice. In the months that follow, they continue to prioritize each other, making their relationship the foundation of their lives. They attend counseling together, open up about their vulnerabilities, and explore new dreams for the future. And while they both carry the scars of their past, they wear them as reminders of the journey they've been through, of the resilience and commitment that brought them back together. Their story is one of redemption, forgiveness, and growth, a testament to the power of love in the face of betrayal and hardship. For Ben and Amelia, the struggles they've endured have only strengthened their bond, bringing them closer than ever before. And as they look toward the future, they're filled with hope, knowing that they've built a relationship capable of withstanding whatever life throws their way. And that's the end of our story about Ben and Amelia. They went through trials that tested the limits of their love, but ultimately came out stronger, proving that even in the face of heartbreak, there's always a chance for healing. If you found this story moving, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more story recaps like this one. And tell us, do you think you could rebuild trust after a betrayal like this? Thanks for watching, and until next time, as Ben and Amelia work to move forward, it seems like the worst of their challenges are behind them. They've both grown, found new depths of understanding, and have a renewed sense of trust. But just when they're beginning to find their rhythm again, the story takes an unexpected turn, bringing the tension to its highest point yet. One evening, as they're unwinding after a long day, Amelia gets a message that shakes her. It's from Alex, and it's far from a simple work-related message. He tells her that he's leaving the company, and as a final attempt, he expresses regret for never having pursued a deeper connection with her. The message is blunt, personal, and, to Amelia, completely inappropriate given their professional history. She's stunned and a bit unnerved, but she quickly dismisses it, choosing not to respond. The problem, however, is that Ben sees the message on her phone screen. The look on his face says it all. The mixture of hurt and betrayal is painfully familiar. For Ben, this message feels like a cruel reminder of the wound they've both worked so hard to heal, a threat to everything they've been building together. He can't help but question whether Amelia's past feelings for Alex were as fleeting as she claimed. Amelia tries to explain, showing him the message and insisting she had no part in encouraging it. She tells Ben that her relationship with Alex was a mistake, a brief moment of weakness, and that she's fully committed to their marriage now. But the words don't seem to reach him. It's as if a wall has gone up. Ben is reeling, his insecurities flaring back up with a force he thought he'd moved past. The tension between them rises as Ben confronts her, his voice a mix of anger and disappointment. He questions her about her feelings, about why Alex would feel comfortable sending such a message if he truly meant nothing to her. For Ben, this message is a painful reminder of the months he spent questioning her loyalty, and he fears that she might still have unresolved feelings for Alex. Amelia, feeling a surge of frustration and desperation, tells Ben that he's being irrational, that his jealousy is unfounded. She explains that Alex's message was unsolicited, and that she has no intention of engaging with him. But Ben can't shake the feeling of betrayal, and for the first time in months, they find themselves back at square one, with doubts and accusations poisoning the atmosphere between them. Over the next few days, their relationship begins to unravel. Ben becomes distant, retreating into himself, while Amelia feels the sting of his mistrust. She tries to reach out, to bridge the gap, but he shuts her down, unwilling to listen. The message has reopened old wounds, and neither of them seems capable of moving past it. They both feel as though they're on the brink of losing everything they've fought for, but neither is willing to make the first move toward reconciliation. Desperate to save their marriage, Amelia takes a drastic step. She decides to meet with Alex in person, intending to confront him and make it clear that his actions have deeply affected her relationship with Ben. She wants to show Ben that she's willing to go to any lengths to protect their marriage, even if it means facing someone from her past that nearly destroyed it. When she tells Ben about her plan, he's hesitant, fearing that meeting with Alex might only complicate things further. But Amelia insists, telling him that she needs to put an end to this chapter once and for all. Reluctantly, Ben agrees, hoping that this confrontation will provide the closure they both need. Amelia meets Alex in a neutral location, keeping the encounter brief and direct. She confronts him about his message, making it clear that she's committed to her marriage and that his actions were hurtful and inappropriate. She explains the impact his message had on her relationship with Ben, and she tells him that she wants no further contact. Alex, taken aback by her intensity, apologizes and assures her that he never intended to cause harm. He promises to respect her boundaries and to move on with his own life. When Amelia returns home, she finds Ben waiting for her, anxious but hopeful. She tells him everything about the meeting, sharing every detail in an attempt to reassure him. She explains how she made it clear to Alex that there's no place for her. With the project wrapped up and their relationship on seemingly steady ground, Ben and Amelia find themselves in a rare period of calm. But just when they're beginning to feel a sense of peace, a new, unexpected challenge arises, one that shakes the very foundation they've worked so hard to rebuild. One evening, as they're preparing for a quiet dinner together, Ben receives an anonymous message on his phone. The message reads, "Are you sure you really know what's going on?" Attached is a photo of Amelia in a candid moment at work, sitting beside Alex in a conference room. While there's nothing outwardly suspicious about the photo, the timing and anonymity of the message make Ben's heart race with anxiety. The trust he's been carefully rebuilding with Amelia suddenly feels fragile, like it's hanging by a thread. He can't shake the nagging feeling that maybe, despite her reassurances and the progress they've made, there's still something she hasn't told him. Ben wrestles with his emotions, torn between confronting her immediately and keeping this information to himself, hoping it's just a prank or a misunderstanding. That night, he's quiet and distant, his mind replaying every moment from the past few months, searching for signs he might have missed. Amelia senses something is wrong and asks him if everything is okay, but Ben brushes it off, saying he's just tired. She accepts his answer, but there's a growing tension between them, an unspoken worry that neither of them can fully articulate. The anonymous messages continue over the next few days, each one more unsettling than the last. They're vague, but they play on Ben's deepest insecurities, hinting that there's more to Amelia's relationship with Alex than she's letting on. At first, Ben tries to ignore them, brushing them off as a cruel joke, but the doubts begin to take root, festering in his mind and slowly eroding his confidence in their renewed trust. Finally, unable to bear the weight of his suspicions, Ben confronts Amelia. He shows her the messages, his voice shaking with frustration and hurt. He asks her, point blank, if there's anything she hasn't told him, if there's any truth to what these messages are implying. Amelia is stunned, blindsided by the accusation. She insists that there's nothing going on with Alex, that she's been completely transparent with him. But Ben's trust is fragile, and he's struggling to believe her. Their argument escalates, with both of them voicing fears and insecurities they thought they had overcome. Ben tells her that he wants to believe her, but he feels as though the past is coming back to haunt him, making it impossible to fully let go of his doubts. Amelia, frustrated and hurt, insists that she's done everything she can to prove her commitment, but it feels like nothing she does is ever enough. In a moment of desperation, Amelia decides to take matters into her own hands. She reaches out to her company's HR department, asking them to investigate the source of the anonymous messages. She's determined to clear her name, to prove to Ben that there's nothing going on, even if it means facing uncomfortable truths about her work environment. A few days later, the HR investigation reveals that the messages were sent by a disgruntled former employee who had been let go during the recent merger. Apparently, this person held a grudge against both Amelia and Alex, and the messages were an attempt to sabotage their careers and sow distrust in their personal lives. When Amelia shares the results of the investigation with Ben, he feels a wave of relief, but also a deep sense of shame for having doubted her. He apologizes sincerely, admitting that his own insecurities got the better of him, that he allowed the ghosts of their past to cloud his judgment. Amelia forgives him, understanding the pain he's been carrying, but the experience leaves them both shaken. They realize that while they've come a long way, the scars of their past are still there, lurking beneath the surface, waiting to resurface at the slightest provocation. In the aftermath of this revelation, Ben and Amelia make a renewed commitment to prioritize open communication, vowing to share their fears and insecurities rather than letting them fester in silence. They know that trust is a delicate thing, easily broken and hard to rebuild, but they're willing to do whatever it takes to protect it. A few weeks later, as they reflect on everything they've been through, Ben and Amelia decide to make a symbolic gesture to mark this new chapter in their lives. They book a weekend getaway to a quiet cabin by the lake, a place they used to visit during the early days of their marriage. It's a return to simpler times, a reminder of the love that brought them together in the first place. During their time at the cabin, they reconnect in ways they haven't in years. They spend their days hiking, cooking meals together, and sitting by the lake, sharing stories and laughter. It's a chance to leave behind the chaos and noise of their daily lives and to focus solely on each other. The intimacy they find in these moments feels like a balm, soothing the wounds of the past and filling them with a renewed sense of hope. On the final night of their trip, as they sit by the fire, Ben takes Amelia's hand and tells her how grateful he is for her patience, her forgiveness, and her unwavering commitment to their relationship. He admits that he's still learning to trust fully, that he's still working to overcome the doubts that have haunted him, but he promises her that he's in this for the long haul. Amelia, her eyes brimming with tears, tells him that she's never been more certain of her love for him. She realizes that, despite everything they've been through, their journey has made them stronger, more resilient. She tells him that she's proud of the man he's become, and that she wouldn't trade their journey, painful as it's been, for anything in the world. They seal their vows with a quiet embrace, holding each other close as the fire crackles in the background. It's a moment of peace, a glimpse of the future they're building together, one that's rooted in love, trust, and a shared understanding of the challenges they've overcome. As they return home, Ben and Amelia carry with them the lessons they've learned, the scars that remind them of where they've been, and the hope that guides them toward where they're going. They know that there will be more tests, more challenges, but they're ready to face them together, with open hearts and a renewed sense of purpose. And so, their story continues, a journey of love, redemption, and resilience, a testament to the strength of their commitment and the power of forgiveness. It's a reminder that true love isn't perfect, but it's willing to endure, to heal, and to grow, even in the face of life's greatest obstacles. Thanks for following along with Ben and Amelia's incredible journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional recaps just like this one. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about second chances? Is love worth the fight? See you in the next story. As Ben and Amelia continue to build on the newfound strength in their marriage, life settles into a peaceful rhythm. The challenges and tests that once threatened to pull them apart now serve as reminders of how far they've come. Their journey wasn't easy, and there were moments when it seemed like their relationship would break under the weight of old wounds and insecurities. But through each challenge, they've discovered a love that's resilient and unwavering. In the weeks following their beachside vow, they both work on strengthening the trust they've built. Ben, who once struggled to let go of his insecurities, is more confident and secure than ever. He's come to realize that while forgiveness doesn't mean erasing the past, it does mean choosing to live without allowing those memories to control him. He's finally at peace, no longer haunted by the doubts that once plagued him. Amelia, on the other hand, has learned to balance her ambitions with her commitment to their relationship. She still has dreams, still strives for success, but now she approaches her work with a different perspective. She's learned that her career doesn't define her worth, and that true fulfillment comes from nurturing the relationships that matter most. In choosing Ben and their life together over fleeting thrills and professional accolades, she's found a deeper purpose and sense of contentment than she ever imagined possible. One of the most transformative moments comes when they visit a marriage counselor one last time for a graduation session, a term the counselor uses to signify that they've successfully worked through their issues. As they sit together, sharing the progress they've made and the lessons they've learned, they realize just how far they've come from the uncertain, hurt-filled days of the past. The counselor encourages them to celebrate each step forward and to continue nurturing the honesty and openness they've worked so hard to cultivate. After the session, they decide to mark this new beginning with a quiet celebration. They host a small gathering with close friends and family, sharing their journey and expressing gratitude for the support they've received. It's a simple, heartfelt event, filled with laughter, warmth, and the comfort of knowing they're surrounded by people who care about them. For Ben and Amelia, this celebration is a symbolic closure to a difficult chapter, a reminder that even the toughest challenges can be overcome with patience, resilience, and love. Months pass, and their lives continue to grow richer. They take up new hobbies together, explore places they've always wanted to visit, and even start talking about expanding their family. The conversations are filled with laughter and anticipation, a stark contrast to the heavy discussions that once filled their days. They've become each other's safe haven, the one place they can go to feel understood and supported. In their quiet moments, Ben often reflects on the man he's become. He's grown stronger, more resilient, and more self-assured, knowing that he can face life's trials with a sense of peace and stability. Amelia, too, has changed. She's learned to trust herself, to value the things that bring her true happiness, and to embrace the love she shares with Ben without reservations. One afternoon, while they're sitting on the porch watching the sunset, Amelia turns to Ben and expresses how grateful she is for his forgiveness, for the love he's shown her even when she felt she didn't deserve it. She tells him that she'll spend her life cherishing him and honoring the trust they've rebuilt. Ben, in turn, thanks her for staying by his side, for her honesty, and for the commitment she's shown to their relationship. In that moment, they both realize that they've finally found the peace they've been searching for. As their story draws to a close, Ben and Amelia find themselves reflecting on the journey they've taken together, the highs, the lows, and the moments that tested their love. They know that life will continue to bring challenges, but they're no longer afraid. They're prepared to face whatever comes their way, knowing that their love is strong enough to withstand anything. Their story is one of forgiveness, resilience, and transformation, a reminder that even the deepest wounds can heal, and that love, when nurtured and honored, can overcome any obstacle. For Ben and Amelia, the road ahead is filled with hope, laughter, and the quiet confidence that they'll face life's adventures together, hand in hand. And that wraps up the story of Ben and Amelia. Their journey through heartbreak and healing shows us just how powerful love can be when it's built on trust, forgiveness, and mutual growth. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit the like button subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Would you be able to forgive and rebuild like Ben and Amelia? Let us know. And thank you for watching. See you in the next story.